What's good, YouTube? It's Khalil Jamar. Hope all is well with you guys. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome. If this is not your first time on my channel, welcome back. Now, the video today is going to be about a mock meet that I ran about a week ago. And at this mock meet that I ran, I was able to total just over 1,600 pounds. And I did this by hitting a 562-pound squat, a 391-pound bench press, as well as a 650-pound deadlift. And looking back, even talking to some of the people who were there watching, and I even got the chance to talk with the coach a little bit, I think that I could have totaled more. I think I did have more in the tank. I do plan on competing in March, so we'll really find out. I don't think I'll have any problem totaling over 1,600 pounds. But for the video today, these numbers are based off of a mock meet. But anyway, looking back at the meet, just to give some context as well, at my first meet about 2 years ago, I totaled just over 1,500 pounds. At this mock meet, I totaled just over 1,600. So in the span of about 2 years, I was able to increase my total by just about 100 pounds. After I ran the meet, I thought about some of the things that I did in order to get stronger, in order to increase my total, especially because I don't have a coach. And if there are some of you out there who don't have a coach, maybe you want to dip your toe into powerlifting or at least learn some of the ways that you can get stronger, I do want to offer any advice to help you get stronger. This video today is really going to be more so about the programs that I tried and how I structured them. But I do have a few more videos coming out where I talk about some of the other things that I did outside of trying multiple programs in order to get stronger. But again, for the sake of this video, we're just going to be talking about the programs I tried. Now, the first piece of advice I have when it comes to programs is that you do want to try out multiple programs. If you're a beginner, start out with a 5x5 program. Now, there are different variations of the 5x5 that you can try. Personally, I tried the Strong Lifts 5x5 program. I also worked with the Mad Cow 5x5 program, but the Strong Lifts 5x5 worked for me the best. Why should somebody start out with a 5x5 program if they're a beginner? One, it's a good beginner program for you to try out to get used to moving moderately heavy weight for reps, which you're going to need to know how to do, especially if you get on a program where you're preparing for a meet. You need to know how to move heavy weight for reps. The other thing is you learn the importance of recovery. Usually on the 5x5 program, you're working out 3 days a week. And ideally, you take a 1 to 2 day break in between each day that you're working on the 5x5. Now, that's not to say on that 1 to 2 day break you shouldn't go into the gym or you can't go in the gym. You can go in there. You can do active recovery. Maybe you do a little bit of accessory work, but on that 1 to 2 day break, you're really taking a break from moderately heavy weight. And then the other thing about this is why I think you should start out trying a 5x5 if you're a beginner, is because it's going to get you acclimated to working on more than one compound lift per day. Again, this is something that you're going to need to know how to do as you progress, as you get stronger, especially if you're going to jump on a meet prep program. You need to know how to work on 2 compound lifts at moderately heavy to heavy weight later down the line. So this is a perfect place to start. Now, once you do a 5x5 program, you're starting to realize that you're getting stronger. What might happen, what's happened in my experience, and even some of the people that I've talked to who have tried a 5x5 program, you may hit a wall or you might start to plateau, which may make you think that you're getting weaker. From my experience, this is not always the case. And again, from some of the people I talk to, this is not always the case. It's just a signal that your body needs to be stimulated differently in order to get stronger and to break past a plateau. Essentially, you might be exiting that beginner stage and you might be in a position where you're starting to become an intermediate type of lifter. This is regardless of if you've gone to meets or not. Like, you don't have to go to a meet to be an intermediate lifter. I know a bunch of strong people who have never competed before, but if they did, they would be considered an intermediate type of lifter. Now, the programs that I tried that really helped me to break past plateaus, I really tried 3 different types of programs, and 2 out of those 3 programs are based on the Jim Wendler 531 training philosophy. These are linear progression types of programs, meaning that each week the goal is to increase the weight that you're working with in small increments. So for example, maybe one week you come in and you're squatting 385 pounds for sets of 5. The next week you would want to increase the weight to maybe 390 pounds and you work at that weight for sets of 5. Here's the thing about these programs and why I think that you should try it after a 5x5, and I think that is going to help you to break past plateaus, is you have to hit a goal or a certain amount of reps in order to progress. Example of what I mean, if we take a look at the nSuns program, let's keep the example with squats. If we look at Tuesday, your first set is going to be a set of 5 at 305 pounds. Your second set is going to be a set of 3 at 345 pounds. And then you have a 1+ set at 385 pounds. Now this 1+ set, you can look at it as a top set. But if you look at the top of the program, if you hit no reps or you only hit 1 rep, you do not increase the weight. You work with that weight the next week until you're ready to progress. If you hit 2 to 3 reps, you can increase the weight the next week by about 5 pounds, excuse me. If you hit the weight for 4 to 5 reps, you can increase the weight the next week by 5 to 10 pounds. If you get more than 5 reps, you can increase the weight by 10 to 15 pounds. Program, it mentions if you hit 4 to 5 reps, you can increase the weight by 5 to 10 pounds. I would suggest if you hit the weight by 4, if you only hit 4 reps, only increase the weight by 5 pounds. If you hit 5 reps, then you can start to increase the weight by 10 pounds. So basically prove to yourself that you can increase it by the most amount of weight before you actually do it. Now, the other 5-3-1 program that I had tried was the boring but big 5-3-1 program. And here's where I think I made a mistake as I was trying out certain programs. I would actually start out with if you're going to try a 5-3-1 program after the 5x5 program in your beginning stages, or maybe you're an intermediate lifter already, I would start out with the boring but big because it's less intense than the nSuns program. Intensity, in my opinion, is less because the weight that you're working with in your back down sets is a lot lighter than the weight that you work with on the nSuns. If you're not ready to move heavy weight in your back down sets, it could slow down your progress because you just put yourself in a position where you either overtrain yourself or you injure yourself. So I would suggest trying the boring but big 5-3-1 before you try the nSuns program. And in the back down sets, just to mention, the back down sets that you're working with in the boring but big 5-3-1, the weight is anywhere from 30 to 50% of what your training max is. Your training max is usually about 90% of what your absolute max is. So the weight is not as heavy. The volume is pretty high. You do a 5x10 on the boring but big, but again, the weight is lighter than what it is on the nSuns. The nSuns, after you do that 1+ set that we talked about, if we look back at the nSuns program, as you can see, after you do the 1+ set, the next set is you do 365 pounds, you decrease the weight by about 20 pounds, you do that for 3 reps. Then, as you can see, on and on, you decrease the weight by about 20 pounds or so. Now, the last program that I tried and that really worked for me, this is a program that I ran at my first meet where I totaled just over 1,500 pounds. This is a program I ran before I ran the mock meet, where I totaled just over 1,600 pounds, but it's the TSA 9-week program. Now, this is a program that's different than the nSuns. It's different than the Mad Cow. It's different than the boring but big because it's not based in linear progression. This is a program that you run before you go into a meet. And this is perfect when you're really trying to figure out how strong you are, get an idea of where you're at. Maybe you want to run a mock meet like I did, or maybe you're getting yourself prepared for a meet. And this is a program that's really for people who are in that intermediate and advanced stage of powerlifting. So I would suggest using this program later as opposed to sooner or in the beginning stages if you're still a beginner. Part of the reason is because this is a program that does incorporate RPE, which is rate of perceived exertion. Essentially, that's just how you feel when you're moving a certain amount of weight. Because this program does use RPE, again, that's one of the reasons why I would suggest using it if you're an intermediate lifter or advanced lifter. Now, if you're a beginner, because you have to get used to knowing what your true RPE at a certain weight is. To give you an example, I'll use myself as an example. The first time I ever deadlifted 500 pounds, I would say it moved at an RPE of 9. The reason being wasn't that I didn't have the strength to move the weight faster or move it at an RPE 7 or 8. It was because I didn't know how to perform the lift correctly. So the lift felt a lot harder than what it actually was. Once I learned how to deadlift correctly, 500 pounds moved at like a RP 7 or 6, and now it's at the point where 500 pounds for me, it feels like it moves at a RP of 5. But basically you want to get to the point where you could get a true reading of what your RPE is. Again, even in the example that I used, the reason you do want to wait is because if you do it as a beginner, something could feel like it's moving at an RPE 9, but there may be multiple reasons as to why outside of it was just that heavy. But guys, that is the end of the video. Again, I mentioned earlier, I have a few more videos coming out on what else I did outside of trying these programs to get stronger. So for example, I'll talk about things such as diet, what changed with my diet, some of the supplements that I started to take. And even I think the most important thing is the people I placed myself around that got me in a certain mindset that helped me to get stronger. Because getting stronger isn't just physical. I promise you that. A lot of it is mental. But again, that is the end of the video, guys. I hope that I was able to help some of you out there. I hope that I was able to kind of give you an idea of what you should do, what type of programs that you should try if you're really looking to get stronger. Now, if there's anything that I missed, if there's any questions at all, anything that I got wrong, or anything that you guys want to add, definitely leave that down in the comment section. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Make sure that you do like the video, subscribe to the channel. See you guys later.
AOT, max it up.